Hey guys, so in today's video I just wanted to talk about this trade that I done this morning, and as you can see it gave me a nice 1 to 2.7 risk to reward. And just to show you that I did actually take it, here's the screenshot that I took from inside my trading view. Unfortunately I didn't have enough time to take it from inside my MetaTrader because as you can see price moved very explosively and hit my take profit within a couple of minutes. So because of that I had to take it off of trading view, but here's the actual screenshot from my MetaTrader showing my lot sizes, the date, time, entry and exit positions. So what I wanted to do is just break down this trade because I had a lot of you guys messaging me on my Telegram telling me that you also took this trade with me and that you've been following my YouTube videos, and that just means so much because so many of you guys were actually able to make money from this trade just by simply following the trades that I've been posting on my YouTube. Right, so another reason why I wanted to do this trade is because a lot of you guys also messaged me to let me know that you were actually waiting for sells and not the buys like I had done, right? So I thought I'd break it down to show you that you can actually make money from both sides of the market. And before we do that, let's actually drop down to the 1 minute, replay and bring price before all of this happened. And then we can also remove all of these drawings so that way we can play it in replay mode and take the trades as they happen, right? So first things first, I woke up and I wanted to get my directional bias. So if you come over onto the 4 hour, you'll be able to see that, we have turned bearish, right? So price is bearish, therefore looking for sales is something that you should do because obviously we're in a bearish market and the trend is your friend. So granted, we're in a bearish market, we're looking for continuation sells. However, when I woke up this morning, I thought, you know what, on the intraday, you can actually take buys as well because as you can see, we've created this higher high, a higher low, and we could potentially push for a higher high into these areas where there's fair value gaps before continuing lower, right? So on the higher time frame, yes, we are bearish, but on the lower time frame, you can play smaller trades into points of interest where you want to see price go down to take sales from, right? So this is what I was seeing, and the first thing I did, obviously, as we do every time, is mark out our Asia highs and our Asia lows. And once we do that, we're now essentially just waiting for price to either sweep one or the other side of liquidity before we then actually look for any trade setups. So I've marked out my Asia highs and my Asia lows, and now when I woke up, the next thing I did was just drop down to the 1 minute, and now I'm simply going to wait for one of these buy or sell side liquidities to be taken out before looking for trades. So as I said, my higher time frame bias was bearish, so I was really and truly looking for sells. However, as I said, on the intraday you can actually play price on both directions. So if I did get something like this, I was more than happy to look for buys to take it up here before looking for sells to take it back down, right? So I've woken up and I've seen this happening with price, right? So let's quickly mark out our structure so that we're all on the same page. So we've got a lower low, a lower high, a lower low, and our price is going to create a lower high before continuing to create a lower low, right? Just basic market structure, and that's how everything moves. So we want to mark out our highs and our lows so that way we know where we are on the markets and we know what we're looking for. So now this is where we get our market structure shift, because again, let's mark it out, right? So we've got a lower low, a lower high, a lower low, and instead of giving us a lower high and a lower low, price has actually given us a higher high, breaking this lower high, and now we're anticipating price to come back down and create a higher low before continuing to create a higher high, right? So that's essentially what we're waiting for. We've seen that now price has given us this market structure shift. So now what we're going to do is simply wait for price to give us an entry. And we look for entries at fair value gaps, right? So fair value gaps, again, very simple, is where price has moved and gave us displacement. So as we can see right here in this push-up candle, we've actually only got buyers. There was no sellers coming down. There was no wicks. It was just one big candle to the upside, right? So that essentially means that in this area right here, there were no sells. There was no selling action. There was no sales happening. So when there's an imbalance like this in the market, where there's only one side in control, what we then want to see is price to come back and correct it by pushing down into these areas, fill in this imbalance before giving us a push in our direction that we want it to go in. So essentially what we're waiting for price to come and give us this correction of this imbalance, which is the fair value gap. So as we can see, we've got one right there, and we've also got one right there. And me personally, this is the one that I was favoring more, just because it is further down. And if we go by what ICT tells us, he says to put out a fib and to take an entry somewhere between a 61.8 and a 78.6. And as you can see, this falls perfectly in that area. So I was favoring this fair value gap more than this one. However, as I've said before, nobody knows what the correct fair value gap is. So for me, I had my first entry here with my stops here, aiming my targets up there. And then I also had another entry right here with my stops right below this and my targets up here. The reason why I had this is, again, as I said, nobody knows what the correct fair value gap is. So if you take this one, you might lose, but then you might get in this one. If you just wait for this one, price might come into here and go without you. So what I always say is just take what the markets give you. Don't chase after the markets. Don't make the markets come to you. You simply just take what the markets give you. So let's play price on and see what happens. So we've tapped in, and after that, price has just shot straight up to our target, right? So I can remove this limit now. I can remove this fair value gap because this fair value gap worked best, right? As you can see, price created the higher high, gave us the higher low, and straight in for another higher high. So this is why I always stress that yes, you might find this to be the perfect and the most optimal fair value gap, but sometimes the market doesn't really care. It's just going to come and do whatever it wants to. So never chase after the markets. Let it come to you. Just do what the market gives you. Don't force anything. And that's what I always stand by. And that's why I have a good win rate, because I don't chase after it. I didn't get upset that price didn't come all the way down here and this wasn't my only entry, because if it had been, then I wouldn't have had a trade today. And as we can see, price just wanted to come, fill this imbalance completely and rock off, which is perfect, right? So as we can see, the higher time frame was bearish, but on the intraday, price still gave us this bullish trade before, as we can see when I play price on, price did actually go, and a lot of you guys actually sent me a lot of messages today saying that you took the sales right here and wrote it down to this liquidity. And it's great to see that a lot of you guys were actually able to get into these trades. I was able to take the buys and a lot of you guys were able to take the sells. But for me personally, I was watching the market when it was up here, but I didn't find anything that was clean, right? So this is our structure points. When price breaks below here, as you can see, when it breaks, give it a second, bang. Once we get this break right here, the only fair value gap that I can actually see is this one, right? Apart from this one, I don't see any other entries. And for me, I'm not a big fan of this trade because your stop loss is quite large. There's a lot of complex structure happening in here that I'm not even going to begin to mention. So all of this is super choppy. And when I saw this, I thought, you know what? I've had this super good trade this morning. I'm not going to risk my capital by taking a trade that I don't feel is all that much great. However, having said all of that though, a lot of you guys did message me and send me your charts in of you taking this trade. And just for the sake of it, let's play it out anyway. And I believe it was something like this that happened. So this would have been a nice 1 to 2 had anyone got in. Oh, price didn't even give us an entry. Look at that. So again, I'm not sure where a lot of you guys got in. A lot of you guys have sent me the charts, so I will take a look at those. But again, this would have been the only entry that I saw. Price never actually gave us an entry, so for me this wouldn't have been a trade that I'd take, and I didn't actually take it this morning. But nonetheless, as you can see, we got the buyers up here and then the sells from up there too. So even though the higher time frame was bearish, we got trades both on the buy side and the sell side, which is great. But I just thought I'd do this trade so that you guys can see what I saw. I hope it gave you some knowledge. I hope you took something away. If you did, don't forget to drop a like, share and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks guys.